Hi folks, it is me, Surf Gorgon Savant. It's been a minute. I wanted to come on here and do a video on spiritual practices and how to come up with one. This is going to be my third video. I have been away. I will be doing more videos on this channel. And I got to figure out the best way to edit because I just filmed a video. Like I filmed 3 videos already. And don't have like my computer set up to do the kind of editing that I'd like. So I figured I'll just redo one, do it all in one, get it over with. And once we get the editing set up, then we're all set. But in the meantime, this is what it is. So it's going to be one lengthy video. If the dogs bark in the interim, I do apologize. So what I'd like to talk about today, just going right into it, is your spiritual practice. First and foremost, what is a spiritual practice? It could be whatever you do during your day-to-day or every week or every month that is mostly repetitious in nature, but that helps you get closer to and become more familiar with the entities and beings and ancestors and things that you work with, the god or gods that you work with. These are things that you can do, like very simple, like lighting a candle, praying to whatever you believe in, leaving an offering or offerings out, maybe prayers, silent prayers, purchasing things for the things that you work with and leaving out on like a shrine or altar, reading your card, like reading tarot daily, doing a daily pull to see if there's any information from the universe that you can receive. There's so many different small things you can do on a daily basis to practice. And they can also be mundane things. Like, for instance, a part of my daily practice used to be whenever I played with my pup fiddle, we would do the S-T-I-C-K, which she knows what that is, so I have to spell it because she's here if I say the word. But we would play with that, and she loved that, and that was what I would dedicate to my goddesses, the things that I work with. But we don't do that as much anymore because now we have Banjo, who is very rambunctious. Whenever I start to play with her, he gets frustrated. So these are my pups. So he gets frustrated, he starts to play with her, and then they're playing with each other, and I'm just like, I guess I'm just going to stand here. So we don't do that as much anymore. And that's just, I mean, it's just something you can do. Like, that's just an example for the things you do mundanely. Washing dishes. For me, that's a spiritual thing. So I would wash dishes with music on, and I would try to bring in like some joy and positivity into the kitchen where the things we consume, it's a part of our life daily, just so this way it's like good energies, but also as like an offering to like other things that I work with that focus on the aspects of cleansing, purification, stuff like that. So these are mundane things, right? Mundane things that any of us do on a daily basis, but can offer to those things that we work with as offerings, as a sign of thanks, as a sign of, this hard work is for you. So I say all this to say that like having a spiritual practice doesn't have to be complicated. You don't have to buy a bunch of books or a bunch of, material items. You don't have to do anything super complicated to be able to practice, to be able to be a part of spiritual circles. Now, the only caveat is if you are already a part of some sort of tradition or practice or religion that has stapled rules and guidelines for what you need to do. That's just a part of it. That's a part of what you are now in, if that's your practice or your religion or your tradition. But just like with those are to help you build that connection closer. The repetition is to help you know. It's to help you build that, not just connection and relation and reverence, but also like a muscle, your spiritual muscles. Because the more that you build, the easier things get for you. The quicker you remember, the more you understand, unless you have a memory issue, which if that's the case, then there's still reasons to do this. It still gives you that connection. The more that we do these things, the more we understand some of the intricacies behind why we do these things. The closer we become to them, the more connected we feel. For instance, I grew up on Maple Street in New York City. There was a bunch of Maple Streets, so I'm not revealing anything. I don't live there anymore. Nobody that my family lives there anymore, so we have long since moved. But growing up there were all these maple trees all over the place, and that is a tree that I feel connected to. In the front yard, things that grew in my front yard were pine, rose, lavender, lilies, lilacs, things that grew in my backyard, carnations, baby's breath, chamomile, lavender, rose, mint. These are all things that I still use in my daily practice whenever I am doing things. These are things that I use in my spell work. These are things that I use in anything that I'm doing, like for washes, cleanses, and not like all together, unless I have something that calls for it. But these are things that I use because they were always there for me. I feel the connection. I feel that familiarity. I grew up with those things. It's interesting because as you continue to learn and study and grow, you'll realize that a lot of the things that you may be doing with your practice, with your daily practice, are related to things that you grew up with, are related to things that culturally you have always done. You know, the fruit bowl itself has some cultural significance to it in spiritual practices. Floor washes, using a not necessarily colored candle, like any kind of colored candle, but using like an oil lantern. That's what folks back in the day had. That's how they practiced any kind of magic with fire or candles. They didn't have what we had. So going back to a lot of basics, you'll understand that even some of the things that we do today are still a part of spiritual practices. We just don't know the reverence behind them. So you may already be doing a bunch of things that are considered spiritual that you could bring into your practice without having to feel like, I don't know what I'm doing. You're already doing the work. You're already doing the work. So, suggestions for coming up with your practice. Ask a lot of questions to your family about their religious traditions, practices, belief systems, even if they're part of something that you feel you don't necessarily connect with, because they might be doing something mundanely that they don't even know has been passed down to them that is a spiritual practice. Always having fruit in fruit bowl, I wonder why. You know, always making sure that your chairs are facing a certain way, or making sure certain areas are always cleaned in the house, or making sure that you always leave stuff out for a certain thing for guests, like room to put their shoes, or room for this, or room for that. Always making sure that certain things are facing a certain, like, literal direction. Everything north, like compass wise, or everything south, or small things. Those things might actually be, well, passed down from mother to mother, father to father, generation to generation, spiritual practices. Ask questions to your family. Read a lot. Go to a library, pick out some books, inquire. When those books seem like they're giving you what you need, check out the references that those books have made, and then check out what people have to say about the authors online. Look for the good reviews and the bad reviews. Find out if there's anything that they're doing that's culturally appropriative. They might not know that they're doing that. They might not be a bad person or people's. They might not know that they're doing that. The information that they might be giving in these books might be 100% accurate. It's just there's appropriation. It's still worth it to read because you're not going to know the difference unless you read those books or somebody tells you. And even when they tell you, like, you're not going to know fully the author's standpoint. I think that sometimes it's just worth it to read the book. Whether or not you pay for it, that's on you. You know, maybe you borrow it from a friend, you know, or maybe you find a digital copy somewhere that's being offered for free by the author. It's on you. You know, but reading, educating yourself, studying, asking questions, And then after doing all of that, trying these things out or seeing if you're already doing stuff during your day that you can say, okay, that's going to be now part of my spiritual regime because I do it anyway. Good. Good. You know, maybe throw in a prayer or something there. Add something in to make it a little bit more connective to you for the spiritual aspect. But these are all things that you can do to educate yourself, as well as trying things. Are you appropriating anybody's culture? Are you doing anything wrong? Are you harming yourself or anybody else? No. Try it. Try it. It can't hurt to try. See how it makes you feel. Maybe you do it once, twice, 3 times, and you're like, you know, this isn't for me. I don't like this, whatever this is. I don't like having to use this particular thing in my food anymore when I'm doing dinners every Friday that this deity says I have to do. Or this being says I have to do. I don't like having to always go out and make offerings to nature. Okay, well then don't. Like if that's something you don't want to do, don't go out then. Maybe that practice is not for you if it's part of a practice that you have to do, or like religion or something, or maybe if it's your own that you're trying to come up with, take that out, come up with something else. Make a list. Can't hurt. So, I think I've rambled long enough. I hope that this video has given you an idea or inkling, if you were curious about spiritual practices, where to start. Start with the simple. Start with the mundane. Start with what you're already doing and what you know. Educate yourself, and don't be afraid to experiment, you know. I guess that's it. I hope this video, again, was informative, and may whatever powers you all believe in keep you happy, healthy, and safe. Much love.